Hello, my name is George Faulkner and I'm starting a channel called Peniel. That's the place where Jacob met with God and he walked away with a limp. And in some other video yet to be recorded, I will be saying something about that. But I have been a Christian for many years now, and I thought that I would give you my testimony. I grew up in church, and it was a congregational church, and we went there every Sunday, and there was lots of activities, and I appreciate the fact that the minister was very good at telling stories for children. He seemed to be particularly gifted at that, and he told a number of stories, two of which have stuck with me, and I've heard the same stories being told to other children, and these stories illustrate gospel truths. I'll not tell those stories just now, but again, that's another idea. I might tell them in another video. But anyway, these truths stuck with me, and I thought that going to church is what made you a Christian. How wrong I was. I was kidding myself. Going to church does not make you a Christian. Or to quote someone else I know, going to McDonald's does not make you a burger. It doesn't. It was later in life I found out what being a Christian really is. Well, anyway, things happened to the church that I won't go into, but basically they ended up merging with a different church, and I wasn't very happy about that, and I, by this time, was getting absolutely sick of being in church. And I was starting to think that all these hymns were a load of nonsense. I didn't like them, and I certainly didn't like things like standing on the promises of God. And I thought, what promises? What's that about? What a load of rubbish. Again, how wrong I was. God does have promises, and he keeps them. Well, anyway, I came up with a plan to put an end to going to church and get my parents off my back, because my parents wanted me going to church. So my plan was this. They were agreeable that I didn't have to come to the same church as them as long as I went to church. So I decided that I would go to every church in the town. Each week I'd go to a different one. This would take a long time, and eventually I'd wear my parents down. They'd get sick of this, and at the end I'd find none of them were any good, and I would stop going to church. That was the plan. Oh, but God had a different plan. On the very first Sunday that I was going to start this plan, I decided to go to a church, a particular one, because I had a couple of friends at it, and I thought the worst thing that can happen is that I get to have a good chat with my friends, my school friends. But on the day when I was setting off, I said to God, I'm going to have to be very impressed with this place. I'm going to have to be very impressed with the preaching if I'm ever going to go to this church a second time. And as I've never heard impressive preaching, that's not likely to happen, is it? Once again, I was wrong. I was gripped by it. I'd never heard anything like that before. And I was on the balcony, and when I came down from the balcony, the minister stopped me at the door and introduced me to people. I had no idea that he was introducing me to people who were going to be friends for many years. Well, anyway, I kept on going to that church, and my brother and I decided one day to go out to a local theatre where this Christian band from the United States of America were appearing. They were called his ambassadors, and they came from Florida. So we went, we enjoyed the evening, and the following day, Sunday morning, there was a man sitting in front of us whom we had never seen before. My brother nudged me and said, "See that man that's sitting in front of us? He was with that band last night. He wasn't on the stage with them, but he was definitely with them." So I thought, oh, he must be American then. I, apart from a school teacher, I had never met an American before. I'd had one teacher at school who was American. So I followed this man to the door, and I stopped him, and we got talking. And in the course of the conversation, he got round to talking about the gospel. He said, "You know, the gospel's a free gift. How do you receive a gift? You just receive it, don't you?" And he held his hands out like this. And suddenly, everything inside me changed. He said that Jesus Christ, the gospel, his payment upon the cross, I realised was a gift. And I had to accept it. A gift is only good if you actually accept it. It's not good enough to just believe the facts about the gospel, because the devil believes that. Believing the facts about the gospel will not make one iota of change in you. You need to actually accept Jesus Christ and trust him. You need to be aware of your sin and the fact that the things that you say and think and do that are contrary to God's will are all sin. And you have to trust in Jesus Christ. You turn your life over to him. So it's free, but it costs you everything. And that's the mystery of the gospel. Jesus Christ has imputed his holiness to us. If you're not living a holy life, you have to ask yourself, why not? And it doesn't mean that you'll be perfect, which you won't be, because you've still got this original sin within you. And the two sides, the new nature, war with each other. The old nature, the darkness, and the new nature war with one another. And it's going to be that way until the day Jesus Christ returns and we're resurrected and we're pure and totally holy like him. But anyway, that's how I became a Christian, by believing the gospel, by trusting in Jesus Christ. Now, I was working in a shop, and I knew right from the start the shop was nothing more than a job to me. It wasn't going to be a career. So there came a point where I decided I want to be a minister in the Church of Scotland. Now, a lot of this had to do with the fact that I discovered very early on, because the minister made me do it one day, that I could preach. I was good at teaching. So that's what made me think I want to be a minister in the Church of Scotland. I'll always be thankful to the minister for the day that he set aside me and a couple of other men at the prayer meeting and said, "You've got 10 minutes each to teach, and we'll see how you do." So I did 10 minutes, and after that he said, "You're not going to get 10 minutes again. Next time you're going to get the whole meeting." And from then on, there were times when he asked me to take the whole meeting, and I preached. And I'm so grateful that I was at that meeting, because I had never heard of prayer meetings before. And every single week it was announced that there'd be a prayer meeting. And I thought, well, I don't know anyone that goes to this prayer meeting apart from the minister. I don't know. I needed someone to invite me. Well, one Sunday morning as I was going into the church, 2 old ladies invited me to the meeting, and I thought, oh good, I've got the invite, I'm going. and I started going every single week. And I was also going to another Bible study that was run by the American that we'd met that Sunday in church. So church and the Bible study from American, these things were good for me, for my growth, my spiritual growth. Well, as I say, the shop was nothing more than a job to me. So I left the shop and decided I want to be a Church of Scotland minister. I'll start by renewing my hires. I had difficulty at school and I had some qualifications, but they were old. So I went to technical college where I renewed my hires, and that was enough to get me to university. So I went to university to study for an MA, Master of Arts, but unfortunately I was, in my view, badly advised, and there was a compulsory language requirement and I just couldn't do it. I had 2 goes at it and I just couldn't do it. I was okay with the other subjects, but not with that, and I had to leave the university without my degree. So I then decided I'm not having those passes wasted, and I still want to be a Church of Scotland minister. So I entered the Open University and they accepted the passes I had, and I worked and worked and worked at my BA, and I got it. Didn't do any languages, you see. And then when there came a point where I wanted to apply to the Church of Scotland, I sent off a letter to get an application form, and it fell upon the desk of my former minister. And he had a meeting with me as a friend, not an official meeting. And he expressed his concerns. And I listened to his concerns, and I had the same concerns, but he left me to make the decision. And if I wanted to pursue being an applicant to the Church of Scotland, then by all means I could do so. Well, I decided, let me start looking at missions. Now, I had a little experience of missions. I had done a YWAM mission with one of the churches in my hometown, and I had also done a number of missions with the Scripture Union in my own church. So I decided, let's start looking at missions. I might at this point to add, I'd also done 3 months of mission with a Dutch mission, and I've got a book where I've written about that. And this is the book, God's Kaleidoscope, by me, George Falconer, published by Onwards and Upwards. You can get it straight from them, or you can order it from Waterstones. Indeed, I would imagine any bookshop probably could do this, as long as you say you've got my name, Onwards and Upwards by George Falconer, published by Onwards and Upwards. I encourage you to get it. So, I applied to a number of missions. I applied to one in particular and they turned me down, and I had made 2 applications to the same mission, but I decided to pull out because I thought, I'm not suitable for that type of ministry. And then I pulled out, and there came a point where I was receiving the monthly prayer letter from Operation Mobilisation. And in one of these letters, they were praying, and they had particular jobs and looking for applicants. And so I looked at this and started praying for other people to go and join Operation Mobilisation, because I was worn out by this time. I thought, well, that's it. God can send other people to Operation Mobilisation, because it was the one that I had actually turned down twice, once for the ship ministry and once for one of the other ministries, because I didn't think I was suitable. And I was in a mode where I think, God, I've just had enough. I really have had enough. I'll pray for other people to go. Well, if you pray for some things, you need to be willing to be the answer to your own prayer. Because the following month, and this is the only time I ever saw this, the same prayer requests twice. I never saw that again. But this time, the second time, it gave me details of the jobs, and I thought, well, I could do some of those. I'll apply. And I went with the attitude of, God, you know how tired I am. This is the last time. And I really meant that. I firmly decided, this is the last time. I will never apply to missions again if they say no. I didn't tell them that, but I was interviewed by two ladies, and by the end of the day, they said yes. When can you come? I was so shocked that they made the decision so quickly. I thought I was going to fall off the chair. And the lady said to me, what's wrong? I said, nothing, I just thought you'd want to have time to think about it. And she said, oh no, she says, we don't believe in delaying things when we believe we've got the right person. So I was the right person. And so I joined Operation Mobilisation, where I've served for a good number of years, and I recommend them. Founded by George Verwer, and Operation Mobilisation is a large international organisation with all sorts of ministries. I was looking back, I was right to say no to the ones that I first applied to, but I was right third time. In fact, maybe it was God who thought, I'll give him 3 shots at this. 1, 2, third one, that's the last one, he's going, because he'll be in the right mode for it, because he'll know this is the last time you're going to do this. And God, I'm pleased to say, brought me in to a place where I was suited. So that's my testimony. There's lots of other things I could say, and I'll probably say in other videos, once I've got Peniel well up and started. See, Peniel. And there's a reason I'm calling it Peniel. God bless you all. And again, if you're not a Christian and you think you are, think again. Have you actually trusted Christ? Not just believed the facts about the gospel, trusted him. Could you tell a story like I've just told? Could you tell people how you came to know the Lord? If you can't, something's probably wrong. Maybe you're not a Christian at all. Because I wasn't until that point when I trusted God, and I was deceiving myself. Amen. God bless you.